What's Morales from Black Community TV? With a movie like this, and obviously in the last few years, we've seen stories of this sort of epidemic that went around. So coming into this, Lawrence, what was the story and the tone that you wanted to go with in order to make this different from what we've seen recently on TV? This is a film, but we've seen a bunch of series lately.
It's a great question, because that really the different tones happening in this film are really what excited me by it. At first, you have this really brilliant but naive character who's seduced into world because of its excess, and it's really funny. The characters in the world of pharma and the tactics they will do absolutely anything to sell a doctor. It is extreme, it's funny, it's debaucherous, but then as you get into the aspects of really uncovering the criminal conspiracy, there's a thriller aspect to that story. There's an emotional aspect of that story that becomes even greater when you start to really experience the story through the lens of the victims and the people affected by fentanyl in this world. And that was something that was always really a major priority for us, was to make sure that we were always really respectful of the victims. We spent a lot of time interviewing them and spending times with nonprofits and groups helping the victims of the opioid crisis, and combining all of those things together in this stew is part of the brilliance of David Yates in not just shooting, but editing and finding all the different various layers, from big comedic performances from Andy Garcia at times where he's playing this eccentric billionaire, to these amazing vulnerable moments from Emily, and being able to see Chris Evans as you've never seen him before, shedding some of his cleanliness and heroism to play a smarmy pharma salesman who will do just about anything to make a deal. So that was the complicated stew that is Pain Hustlers.
And there's favorite. Obviously, you're coming into this, and then you have to work with the script, and where you have the shifts. It goes from comedy to seriousness. Especially when greed takes into effect. Was it an issue in terms of finding the balance? That way, when you're watching this, you see where it shifts.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, that was a constant work in progress when we were developing the script and when I was editing the movie. Where do we execute that shift, and how do we do it so we retain the comedy, but then don't ask the audience to sort of take a leap at the end where the seriousness feels too pat because you've been making them laugh for 2 hours. So we had a couple of different versions of the movie. One version that was very broad and very funny. And what we found is when we watched that movie, the emotional stuff towards the end of it fell off a cliff. It didn't play at all. It was kind of, because you were enjoying the movie so much, it got too serious at the end, and you thought, whoa, hang on. You were taking me on this wild ride that was really entertaining. Now you want me to feel bad about the crisis. So we backtracked and we recalibrated, and we very carefully orchestrated a version of the film that allowed the audience to be entertained, but then gradually took them into the sort of more emotional aspects of the story. And it was all about, it's like calibrating or orchestrating a piece of music. Now, it may not work for everybody. Some people may still find that tonal shift a shift too sharp, but we've sat with big audiences with this movie, and it kind of works for most of them, that they go with you on that ride. The first hour is quite wild and funny, and then it starts to temper and become slightly more serious. And it was a really interesting exercise to get the balance right. But it was always our intention to tell a story that was as entertaining as possible. We want to bring as many people as possible to this story. It's no good if people go, oh my God, it's an opioid film. I don't want to watch that. It'd be really serious. We want people to tune in and be carried along on the wave of the storytelling, for it to be as fun as possible, because then the message within the film gets sent to as many people as possible. you know, and that was our ambition for the movie.
Entertaining it was. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Let's keep
Good.
making these type of stories. That way more people are educated and, you know, be entertained. Take care.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
so much.
Take care. See you soon.
You're welcome.